President Trump moves to address the flight crisis. 2 executives at the BBC resign over misleading coverage of January 6th. And the president calls a commander's game. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire executive editor John Bickley. It's Monday, November 10th, and this is Evening Wire.
With the shutdown nearing an end, President Trump wasted no time in addressing one of its key pain points, air travel. The president wrote on Truth Social this morning that air traffic controllers must get back to work or else have their pay, quote, substantially docked. The president also praised the controllers who continued working throughout the shutdown, calling them great patriots and pledging to recommend a $10,000 bonus for, quote, distinguished service to our country. The FAA ordered that 4% of today's flights be canceled due to the shutdown, with that number scheduled to rise up to 10% by Friday. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he's exploring every option to keep planes flying. Here he is talking to CNN.
Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, texted me yesterday and said, I might have some air traffic controllers. If you could use them, I'm going to offer them to you. Now, I don't know that I can, Jake, because they're not certified in the airspaces that we need them. But if I can, I'm going to use them. Everyone in this administration, at the direction of President Trump, has said minimize the pain on Americans. So this is not political. This is strictly safety. And I'm doing what I can in a mess that Democrats have put on my lap. And now I'm trying to keep the American people safe and keep airplanes flying.
President Trump has pardoned Rudy Giuliani and dozens of other election allies as another, quote, witch hunt goes up in smoke. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell has the details.
The Justice Department announced over the weekend that the president pardoned more than 70 of his allies over actions they took in the aftermath of the 2020 presidential election. Along with the former New York City mayor, Trump pardoned his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, constitutional lawyer John Eastman, lawyer and conservative radio host Jenna Ellis, and attorney Sidney Powell. The action protects them from federal prosecution for their efforts related to Trump's legal challenges to the 2020 election. The pardon signed by Trump on Friday declares, quote, this proclamation ends a grave national injustice perpetrated upon the American people following the 2020 presidential election and continues the process of national reconciliation.
The International Olympic Committee is reportedly preparing to ban transgender identifying men in women's sports. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Presa-Giacomo has the story.
The policy reversal follows a scientific review concluding that biological males retain permanent physical advantages even after hormone treatment. According to sources inside the organization, the move marks a major shift under new IOC President Christy Coventry, who has vowed to protect the integrity of women's competition. For years, the IOC has allowed trans-identifying males to compete if they reduce testosterone levels below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months. That left enforcement up to each sport. That approach led to inconsistent policies, with sports like swimming and track already implementing bans on males and women's events, while others, including soccer, did not.
2 top BBC executives announced their resignations on Sunday amid a massive scandal over their editing of Trump's comments on January 6th. Here with the details is Daily Wire senior editor Joel Needler.
BBC Director General Tim Davie and CEO of News Deborah Turnus said they would leave after the controversy exploded over a documentary on the January 6 Capitol riot. According to a leaked BBC memo, an independent advisor to the public broadcaster said the documentary, quote, completely misled viewers about the events of the day, particularly President Trump's role in the chaos. The documentary cut out Trump's call for protesters to make their voices heard, quote, peacefully and patriotically, instead making it sound like he called for violence. The president's attorneys have demanded that the BBC, quote, retract the false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements and apologize, or else face a $1 billion lawsuit.
Despite endorsing Democrat Socialist Zoran Mamdani, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is pumping the brakes on some of his key policies. The Democrat governor is making it clear that she's not all in on progressive policies if they place a greater financial burden on a system that's already strapped. That includes his plan to make buses in New York free. Here she is at a press conference this weekend being asked about Mamdani promising free buses and childcare.
I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and the subways. But can we find a path to make it more affordable for people who need help? Of course we can. And
what about childcare, though?
Childcare I already committed to. So we'll be on a path to get there because I'm committed to this as mom governor, I get it, but also to do it statewide right now, it's about $15 billion, the entire amount of my reserves.
Speaking of the New York governor, New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who recently announced her bid for governor, made some biting comments aimed at her over the weekend. After accepting an award at an event sponsored by the Zionist Organization of America, Stefanik first ripped into Zoran Mamdani as, quote, a raging anti-Semite, defund the police, tax-hiking communist. She also criticized Hochul for endorsing Mamdani, quote, at the very moment that New Yorkers were looking for strength and moral clarity.
An Israeli soldier killed over a decade ago has been returned to his family. On Sunday, Hamas returned the remains of Lieutenant Hadar Golden, who was killed in Gaza in 2014, 2 hours after a negotiated ceasefire took effect. Israeli officials confirmed his identity, and his parents told a local news outlet that he was given a proper Jewish burial. Golden was 23 years old when he was killed. In response to his return, Israel released the remains of 15 Palestinians to Gaza.
Federal agents indicted 2 Cleveland Guardians pitchers for alleged sports betting and a money laundering scheme. Daily Wire reporter Lyndon Blake has more.
2 Cleveland Guardians pitchers have been indicted in a federal sports betting scheme. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz were charged over the weekend for their alleged roles in manipulating pitch outcomes during games to benefit co-conspirators who placed bets on their performances. Since the rise of legalized sports betting in the U.S., online sports books have begun offering highly specific, real-time proposition bets on baseball. For example, whether the first pitch of a pitcher's outing will be a ball or a strike. Prosecutors say Clase and Ortiz worked with fraudulent bettors to fix individual pitches, allegedly generating more than $400,000 in illicit winnings. The 2 now face potential prison time, along with what's likely the end of their MLB careers. Clase, who is slated to earn up to $38 million over the course of his contract with Cleveland, was reportedly paid just $12,000 for his role in the scheme.
Fast food chain Wendy's announced plans to close about 300 locations by the end of this year. This is the latest downsizing since the brand closed about 140 restaurants last year. The chain currently operates about 6,000 locations nationwide and another 1,000 overseas. The decision follows a nearly 5% slump in sales. The exact locations facing closure have not yet been released.
A Nebraska woman has defied medical odds by turning 20 this month, despite being born with almost no brain. Daily Wire assistant editor Andy Valdez has more.
When Alex Simpson was born, doctors gave her at most 4 years to live because of a rare condition called hydranencephaly, which left her with only a few grams of brain tissue at the base of her skull. While most patients with the condition don't live past their first birthday, Alex celebrated her 20th with her family on November 4th. Although Alex was born without the parts of her brain responsible for hearing and sight, her family says the 20-year-old woman seems to be deeply in tune with the emotions of those around her. To her family, Alex's 20 years are not just a medical mystery, but a testament to perseverance, prayer, and unexpected grace.
And President Trump made history over the weekend, becoming the first sitting president since Jimmy Carter to attend a regular season NFL game. He joined the Fox Sports booth during the Washington Commanders matchup against the Detroit Lions, and even weighed in on commentary as Marcus Mariota led a touchdown drive.
This is a very big play, don't you think?
I think
they have to get a touchdown. Let's put it differently. They just have to get a touchdown.
There we go. Now you're doing my job, because that's what I was going to say. They have to get a touchdown.
Just forget about the play. They have to get a touchdown.
The visit was part of the NFL's Salute to Service celebration, where Trump honored new U.S. military enlistees. The president called sports a microcosm of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Trump arrived aboard Air Force One, which flew over Northwest Stadium just before halftime.
Those are your drive home updates this evening. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including the latest on the Senate agreement to end the government shutdown, ICE agents being fired upon in Chicago, and Trump sitting down with the president of Syria. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.